Hey BookTube, my name is Kelly and welcome back to my channel, Kelly's Cozy Corner. Today we'll be talking about the A to Z book challenge, and that is when you try to read a book that begins with every letter of the alphabet. So you'll try to read a book that starts with an A or a B or a C until you completed the whole alphabet. I've been doing this challenge since 2022 and have never completed it. This year I did decide to go ahead and make a list of every book that I could read of all the letters in the alphabet. I have already started reading books and putting them on my A to Z challenge. So in this video, I will go ahead and let you know what books I read for each letter. And if I haven't read one yet, I'll give you the books that I could read. Also give you alternatives for the letters that I've already completed. This could give some people some inspiration on books that they can read for certain letters, like the hard letters like X and V and Y and Z. Because I know I struggle the most with those letters and J's for some reason. But most of these are physical books that are on my TBR already, because I am trying this year not to buy as many books. So I am trying to make my way through my TBR. But there are some that I'm going to either have to buy or read them on my Kindle. I'll just edit in the little book cover here and just show you what it looks like. So this is not going to be a super long video. I'm not going to go into detail with any of these books. Literally just saying the title and the author. That is all I'm doing. Not going to give a synopsis or say anything about what the book is about. I'm literally just title, author, and that's it. And if maybe it's a part of a series or something. But I have a lot of books that I had to haul back and forth between the room that we keep our books in. So I have a ton of books to go through. So without further ado, we will go ahead and hop in, because this is going to take me forever, but hopefully this video won't be terribly long. So obviously we'll start with A's, and I've already read a book that begins with an A. I read After Ever Happy by Anna Todd for A. I could have read Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan, which probably would have been a better option. I probably would have liked it a little bit more. I also could have read Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which also would have been nice because it would have been starting a series and I want to get into sci-fi. So for B, I have not read anything yet, and I could read The Bone Witch by Rin Chupeco, which was on my January TBR, but I obviously did not get to it. So I could read this one, or I could read By a Thread by Lucy Score. It's thick, but I've heard it's really good, and I've had it on my TBR for a while, so I could read either of these for B. For C, I have already completed C. I read A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid Kemmerer. Loved it, 5 stars. Other options that I could have read were The Caro Haunt by Darcy Coates. This one is on my 24 books for 2024. City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. Another book that's on my 24 books for 2024. I could have read this one and started the series. Or I could have read The Monster That Is A Court of Wings and Ruin. I said in my physical TBR video that this book is very intimidating to me, based just solely on the chunkiness of it. But I could have read this one and continued the series. But I still do plan on reading this one this year, but it won't count towards my A to Z. For the letter D, I have already completed it, and I read Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates, which was another 5-star read, so it was good. I could have read Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller, which is on my 24 books for 2024. I also could have read the much anticipated Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, and I would have been ecstatic to read this, but I'll get to it this year because I want to read the sequel so badly, and I've heard nothing but good things about this book. So I may not have gotten to it for my A to Z challenge, but I still will get to it this year. For the letter E, which I have not gotten to yet, I could read Aragon by Christopher Paolini. I think that's how you pronounce it, but it could be wrong. Or I could read Everland by Wendy Spinelli. Not sure how to say that one either, but I could read either of these and they would work for the letter E. For the letter F, I have already completed it, and I read Filthy Gods by R. Scarlett, which was a novella, but I counted it because it was over 100 pages, so I counted it. But I could have read The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, which is on my February TBR. Or I could have read Foolish Hearts by Emma Mills, which is on my 24 books for 2024. So I could have read either of these for F, but I've already completed it, so not worried about it. For the letter G, I have already completed it, and I read The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. Amazing book, highly recommend if you like literary or historical fiction. It is great. I typically do not like those genres and still really enjoyed that book, so I do recommend. I could have read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, which I want to get to this year anyways. I also could have read Girl of Nightmares by Kendare Blake, which is on my 24 books of 2024 and will be finishing this duology for me. For the letter H, I am currently reading The House of Hades by Rick Riordan. I'm only about 70 pages in, but when I finish this will be taking the H spot for my A to Z challenge. We're not to finish that one first. I could read The Holders by Juliana Scott, which is on my 24 books for 2024. I also could read House of Furies by Madeline Rowe, which is another book on my 24 books for 2024. So if I don't finish House of Hades, or if I put it down and pick one of these up instead, I could read either of these for my H book. For I do have quite a few options. I had more than what I chose, but I narrowed it down to 3. I could read Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. It's thick, but it's like multimedia, and I am really interested in this one. I could read Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. I heard good things. This one went around a couple years ago, but I heard good things, so I could read this. Or I could break my heart and read If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nowlin, because I'm pretty sure the second one just came out or is about to come out. But I could break my heart into pieces and read this one. So I have some options for the letter I. For the letter J, I do not have a physical book that starts with that letter, but I do have a book on my Kindle library called Just His Secretary by Donna Jeffries. It is a clean romance. It's really quick, or it's really short. So I could get to that one and let that one count for J. For the letter K, I literally only have one book on my shelf that starts with the letter K, but it is a good one. And it is Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. I do want to get to this series this year anyway, so I could read this and count this towards my K book. For the letter L, I do have a few options. I could read Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, which I really want to get to because I love Ali Hazelwood's writing. I have Losing Hope by Colleen Hoover, which is in my 24 books for 2024 because I've had it for so long. Another book on the 2024 that I could read is Love and First Sight by Josh Sundquist. I could use this one for L. I have a few options. For M, I could get to Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, which I've watched the movie but have never read the book. I could use it. I could read A Madness So Discreet by Mindy McGinnis, which is another book that's on my 24 books for 2024. You will see that a lot of the books on this list are from the 24 books of 2024 because those are the books I want to kind of prioritize this year. I could read either of these for M. For the letter N, I could read Neon Gods by Katie Robert because it is Hades and Persephone and I love reading about them. Or I could read a book that's on my Kindle library, and that is No Exit by Taylor Adams, but I would probably save that for winter time because I'm pretty sure that takes place in a snowstorm. So I would probably save that for colder times, but I could read Neon Gods or No Exit. For the letter O, I have already completed that, and I read On the Plus Side by Sabrina Morgan. But if I wanted to read a physical book, I could have read Outfox by good old Sandra Brown, but I already completed it, so not worried about it. For the letter P, I have already completed it. I read Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, so I read a classic, which is not like me. But if I were to read something a little bit newer, I could have read People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, which I want to get to in the summertime. Or I could have read Pet Sematary by Stephen King, which is another book that's on my 24 books for 2024. Plus, I want to get to it anyways because it's my sister's favorite book. For the letter Q, that one is always hard for me because I just feel like there's not a lot of books that start with Q that I'm interested in. I could read The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, which is in the Folk of Air series, but I first have to read The Wicked King, which I have but have not read yet. So I could get to The Queen of Nothing this year if I would go ahead and read The Wicked King. For right now, I'm just going to list The Queen of Nothing as my book that I want to read for Q, lest I do not get to The Wicked King, which I would be a little PO'd at myself if I didn't do that. For the letter R, I do have a book on my February TBR that starts with the letter R. It is Realmbreaker by Victoria Aveyard. I don't know if I'm actually going to get to this because it's thick, but I'm reading The House of Hades, which is also thick, so I do not know if I will get to this, but if I do, it will take the place of R. But if I do not get to that one, I could read Renegades by Marissa Meyer at some point this year, which I want to get into this series anyway because I keep hearing really good things, and it is sci-fi, which again, trying to really get into that. For the letter S, I do have two different options that I gave myself that they're both books on my 24 books for 2024. And the first one is Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young, which I do really want to get to this because I've had it for a long time. Or I could choose Scythe by Neal Shusterman, which I've had for not as long, but I have had for well over 2 years. So I could read either of these for my S book. For the letter T, I do have one Kindle Unlimited option, and then I had 2 physical books that I could read. I could read Tease by Melanie Harlow, which is in a series of hers. I can't remember the name of the series at the moment, but that is the 3rd one, and I had really been enjoying this series so far, so I could read that one. Or I could read Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, which is a book that's on my 24 books for 2024. Or I could read Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score so that I can begin this series that I've heard so many good things about. So I could read either of these, or I could read Tease by Melanie Harlow. For the letter U, I literally only have one book on my physical TBR that starts with U, and that is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I'm kind of excited to get to this one anyway, because I've heard really good things about this one. So I can read Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover for you. For the letter V, which is another one that I find very difficult. Last year I read Verity by Colleen Hoover as my V, but this year I don't have any physical books for V, but I have some books that I could either buy on my Kindle or buy physically. So I could read The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. I don't know anything about this book, but I could read that one. Or I could read Vladimir by Julia May Jonas. Another one that I don't know much about. I do know that it was a Book of the Month book. I don't do Book of the Month, but I know that it was offered as a Book of the Month book at some point, I think last year. So I could read either of those books for the letter V. For W, I do have a couple of options. I could read The Wicked King by Holly Black, so that I can read The Queen of Nothing and be done with this trilogy. Or if I don't want to be nice to myself and continue a series, I could read The Whisper Man by Alex North. I did say that I don't subscribe to Book of the Month. This one was given to me by my mom, I think, so this was handed down. But I could read either of these for W. For X, again, I do not have a physical book, but I could either buy this book physically or buy it on my Kindle. I could read XOXO by Axio. I think that's how you pronounce her name. But I could read that. I've heard really good things. My sister read it and loved it, so I could borrow her copy. But I could read XOXO for X. For Y, again, I do not have a physical book, but I could read You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogel. I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name. Or I could read You by Caroline Kepnes, which I am very interested in reading because I heard it makes everyone who reads it very uneasy with, I guess, like the point of view or something like that. I'm not sure, but I've heard it really gives people the creeps or the heebie-jeebies, and I like books that do that. So I could read You Deserve Each Other or You for Y. For Z, I could literally only think of one book, and it is 0 Days by Ruth Ware. That is the only book that I could think of that starts with the letter Z. Z and Y and X and V are all just very difficult for me, along with Q and J. Those letters seem to always give me the most trouble with this challenge. So that is all the books that I have for today that I could read for my A to Z book challenge, that I hope to read for my A to Z book challenge. And I hope this gave you some inspiration or some ideas of books that you could read for this challenge. This challenge is always very hard for me. Like I said, I've never completed it, but I'm hoping to do it this year. I don't know if I'm going to, but who cares? It's just fun to do a book challenge anyways. But those are all the books that I have. I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments if you're participating in the A to Z book challenge, because I love to make bookish friends and that would be fantastic. I hope you have a great day, a great evening, or a great night wherever you are, and I will see you guys next Friday in the next video. Bye!